One huge 100GB Stalker 2 update is here, which aims to massively improve the game by fixing various bugs, adding major improvements to the AI and open world, along with many other things. Due to many complaints about the various bugs on launch, I personally decided to wait for a few updates before playing this game. So is Stalker 2 worth your time? Stick with me, here was my experience. A guy named Solder on the radio tells us to set one of these contraptions down to scan for Larry stuff in the insanely dangerous open world of Chernobyl. Somehow it all goes tits up and a group of knobheads notice a sonic boom and a piss bright magnetic field in the pitch black forest. The exact same thing you'd experience in London at early hours in the morning commences, minus the gun, and we get robbed and left for dead. Solder sold us out. Maybe he plans to use the funds to get his name changed, a little bellend. We then awake from our slumber to a rabies-infested dog that royally meets his maker. What's in the flip? Luckily, matey boy in the distance chucks us a screw from his mother's bed that we can use to bypass this whirlwind they call an anomaly. Yeah, they might have fixed some bugs, but they can't save dumbasses like me. It's time to hunt down that cocksack Solder. The very helpful ex-employee of Screwfix aggressively tells us to head to a nearby camp and find Zalicia. Yeah, I'm not going to be invited to do any speeches anytime soon. Another thing that has been improved in this update is the spawn rate of random NPCs in the open world, which really helps with immersion and making it feel alive, and I can't argue with that. Up ahead, I noticed some blokes tormenting some poor arsehole hiding in a house, so I wiped them out. Aside from old Vados, who died with a leg more flexible than a flaccid cock, no bugs were present, and the physics and details in this game are pretty impressive. I mean, look at the detail here. After saving this guy's life, it kinda surprised me that he has the gall to ask me for a favour.
Could you lend me a hand with something else?
This was my response. We then approach this enemy base, and I notice this smear or smegma on the screen, which indicates an enemy can see me, but I'm bloody miles away. Christ knows how the enemies can see me already. Maybe the little runt can smell the stench of my unwashed arse. Jesus, the enemy AI in this game isn't dumb, that's for sure. This game is certainly not forgiving in terms of stealth, but I will test this again later. As the bullets get murked our way, whipping out a can of tuna just seems like the done thing to do. I'm quite impressed with the animation as well. I mean, that's pretty decent, isn't it, really? I'm not gonna lie, at times it does feel like I'm actually getting aimbotted. Or maybe my eyesight is just shite. Although, I have heard this was way worse and far more difficult in earlier patches. One very bizarre thing I did notice was how many enemies seem to have a load of Saveloys in their pockets. I've even thought about opening a Saveloy shop in Chernobyl with the amount of weenies I've been picking up and chucking down my throat. After wiping out the rest of these goons, we save another highly appreciative damsel in distress named Gloomy, and he gives us some very valuable advice which I instantly act on.
But don't count on anyone standing up for you if you run into trouble. You'll be better off that way.
Gloomy was more of a tuner kind of guy. He wasn't really into the big old Saveloys. We finally make it to the camp and experience some of the new changes to the AI. Yeah, this old curvature of the spine victim seems to be getting a bit too excited over the teabagging. Our search for Solder continues as we ask these great bunch of lads where they think he might have gone. And Christ, I think these Saveloys are turning the AI in this game into right sex pests. Thankfully, the bartender, who almost has a worse hairline than KSI, isn't a complete freak and tells us to speak to the captain about Solder's whereabouts. The stench of my pockets with open cans of tuna and multiple half-eaten Saveloys almost makes the captain collapse, but he comes to his senses and offers to help us find Solder if we sort out a stalker who goes by the name of Squint, who's just camping down the road. Of course we agree, but encounter some rabid dogs on the way. away. And I've got to be honest, I really don't mind the gunplay in this game. It's actually pretty fluent and responsive, and you really have to watch your ammo. The auto aim doesn't feel super intense, and I'm kind of surprised by just how polished it feels. Maybe I'm just used to games like Starfield half-arsing it. It's also an added bonus that enemies don't act dumber than a god-to-hell doornail, although I'm not totally convinced on the stealth just yet. So a couple of dead sausage lovers later, we discover a man completely shattered from doing about 4 press-ups to a literal banger. Every time I try to talk to him, he just can't make up his mind on what to do, so he meets the shank instead. We get Squint's location from one of the dead bodies and head over there, but I can't help but notice this hooded figure in the distance, so I have a little chat with him, and he asks me to fetch his brother's dead body from the anomaly. He also gives me a lesson on morals and tells me not to rob the dead. Christ, what kind of animal does this guy think I am? Using the unmatched almighty token of innovation, we reach the poor arsehole. And I do get his point, but it's not like Matey Boy's going to be eating that can of tuna anytime soon. The Undertaker wannabe isn't impressed.
You looted my bro's body. You ain't getting a single coupon from me.
And yes, before you ask, we did loot him as well, by the way. As we approach Squint's location, we encounter one of the worst things I've ever seen. Despite his best efforts, I disarm all the traps and make Squint shut his eyes. And then I asked the captain to tell us where that snake soldier can be located. Turns out he's camping out in this mysterious place called the S.T.A.L.K.E.R. After getting a quick nap on a bare bone mattress with more piss stains than my toilet floor, we head out. At the S.T.A.L.K.E.R, we can properly test out the stealth as it's crawling with goons. And to be fair, it seems to work pretty well, and gunplay is pretty challenging when outnumbered, so you definitely want to take the stealthy approach when possible, which I prefer anyway. I especially appreciate the attempt to dodge bullets with this highly advanced head movement. It truly works wonders every time. And look who we find in the next room. Good old Solder. And I couldn't work out whether he's wearing a Christmas jumper or whether his fashion sense is just as dog shit as his trim. And yes, he is casually holding 10% of a French stick in his hand. That had me for 6 as well. Escaping this place was pretty intense, and it wasn't just because of the gunfights, it's what would come running out of this sewer tunnel. Yeah, I've got to be honest, the animation is a bit shoddy, but you can't tell me these freaks aren't scary, bloody hell. So we make it out alive, and Jesus, despite it being challenging at times, I really enjoyed this new update on Stalker 2. Yes, it's not perfect, but the visuals and character models are impressive, the AI are somewhat intelligent and certainly challenging, the gunplay, movement, and overall gameplay is solid, and I really didn't encounter that many bugs. This game just has a really good and uneasy atmosphere, and I absolutely love the premise and Chornobyl setting. If you like the look of Stalker 2, I would definitely recommend giving it a try yourself, and make sure you comment down below your honest thoughts, as this game really deserves to be played. Maybe treat yourself and get it for Christmas on Instant Gaming. And to find out whether Red Dead Redemption 1 on PC is finally worth playing or not, make sure to click the card on screen. You don't want to miss this video. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I'll see you next time.